encourage them because I think it was a great experience for me. And we just appreciate the support from the voters in District 9, and we look forward to William just doing a great job.
Well, there's going to be another William sitting on in Charleston City leadership, too, and that's going to be Mayor William Cogswell. We have to get used to saying that. What are your thoughts about a new mayor?
Well, I think this is an example of how the peaceful transfer of power ought to work in our city and in our nation. And I'm looking forward to working with Mayor Cogswell to make the city even greater than it is.
Well, Paul Tinkler, thanks so much for being with us. We really appreciate it, and congratulations. I know it's a big day for your family, but also for the city of Charleston.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Paul Tinkler, former Charleston City Councilman. We are expecting about 400 people here. At least they have chairs for 400, but you can't see it just out of camera range, but there are a lot of people that are standing up and around here on the intersection. Police have blocked off some of the side streets here so people can come up here and get a look at this next historic moment for the city of Charleston. Katie?
All right, thank you, Bill. And I think we're going to try to send it over to some of our other field crews that are out there. We're going to send it over to our Webb Wright, who is also in downtown this afternoon. I believe he's talking with some people who were protesting President Biden's visit, or at least that's what I saw on his social media platforms earlier. Webb, are you now? Where are you now? Set the scene for us.
Actually, I'm here at Marion Square, and if you could see behind me, actually behind my cameraman, you would see that there's something going on as far as the Biden coming in for his speech. But if we turn the camera around now, we see what he might very well hear, and that's about 50 to 75 protesters here at Marion Square. It's a combined effort between Charleston's Black Lives Matter and Free Palestine Charleston. They are protesting the Biden policies as far as the Israel conflict in the Middle East, and they are demanding a ceasefire. We'll let you listen to just a bit of it right now.
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now!
And this crowd has steadily grown since about noon today, or rather about 10 a.m. They're supposed to go until 2 p.m. And right now they are here. They're not happy to see President Biden. They're out here protesting, and they will be out here until 2 o'clock. Working for you, Webb Wright, News 4.
I would like to call this January 8th inaugural meeting of City Council to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Gregg.
Here.
Councilmember Shealy.
Here.
Councilmember-elect McBride.
Here.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Here.
Councilmember Brady.
Present.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Waring.
Here.
Councilmember Seekings.
Here.
Councilmember-elect Tinkler.
Here.
Councilmember Bowden.
Here.
Councilmember Powell.
Here.
Councilmember Parker. Here. Mayor-elect Cogswell.
Here.
Mayor Tecklenburg.
Here. We are all accounted for. If you would please join me in standing, if you would like to join me with an invocation from the very Reverend Michael Wright, and then remain standing, we're going to have the presentation of colors from the combined police and fire color guard, and then the national anthem from the wonderful Crystal Brown Hayward. If I may, I would like to give my good wishes and blessings to, in just a few moments, Mayor William Cogswell. Good luck. That comes in handy around here sometimes. Great success to you and your incoming administrations, and God's blessings on you, William, and your family, and God bless the city of Charleston. God bless you. Reverend Wright.
Behold how good it is when we come together in unity. Let us pray. God of endings and beginnings, you call us to accept new tasks and assure us of your presence in all our endeavors. We ask for your blessing on this holy city. Empower your servant William and all who bring the gift of leadership to this place. Give them the strength to lead, humility to serve, with justice to govern, and the wisdom to discern all that is good and right and true. May this new beginning in our life bear the good fruit that faithfulness always ensures. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red gleam, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated. State of South Carolina, City of Charleston Election Commission certificate as to the result of the municipal general election held November 7th, 2023. We, the undersigned commissioners of the City of Charleston Municipal Election Commission, being duly appointed, hereby certify the following as the results of the November 7th, 2023 municipal general election to elect the offices of mayor, city council districts 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11, and commissioner of public works. City council district 1, Boyd Gregg, 1,704, and was elected. Write-in 52. City council district 3, William Michael Antonucci Jr., 121. Stephanie Hodges, 1,358. James Kelly McBride, 1,486, and was elected. Write-in 1. City Council District 5, Carl Lee Brady Jr., 1,047, and was elected. Ronald Call, 861. Tara Swetnam, 164, write-in 6. City Council District 7, Owen Vogel, 523. Perry Keith Waring, 1,155, and was elected. write-in 5. City Council District 9, William L. Gilliard Jr., 466, Kenneth Marolda, 480, Mike Gaston, 867, William Tinkler, 1,305, Francis Marion Baylott III, 148, write-in 2. City Council District 11, Ross A. Appel, 2,916, and was elected, write-in 93. Commissioner of Public Works, Thomas B. Pritchard, 14,745, and was elected. Frederick Blake Spa, 2,134. Jeff Scott Fine, 5,936. Write-in 336. Mayor of the City of Charleston, William S. Cogswell Jr., 11,164. Mika Gadsden, 1,091. Deborah J. Gammons, 456. Clay Nemore Middleton, 5,651. Peter Shade, 2,477. John J. Tecklenburg, 9,937. Write-in 30. These are the results signed by the Municipal Election Commission, Eli Poliakoff, Chairman, Bertel Kenyon, Commissioner, and F. Truett Nettles, II, Commissioner. State of South Carolina, City of Charleston Election Commission certificate as to the result of the municipal general election runoff held November 21st, 2023. We, the undersigned commissioners of the City of Charleston Municipal Election Commission, being duly appointed, hereby certify the following as the results of the November 21st, 2023 municipal general election runoff to elect the offices of Mayor and City Council District 9. City Council District 9, Mike Gaston, 1,078, William Tinkler, 1,836, and was elected. Mayor of the City of Charleston, William S. Cogswell Jr., 13,958, and was elected. John J. Tecklenburg, 13,392. These are the results signed by the Municipal Election Commission, Eli A. Poliakoff, Chairman, Bertel Kenyon, Commissioner, and F. Truett Nettles, II, Commissioner. And now, if Mayor-elect Cogswell's children could please come forward to join us for the swearing in.
Locked out. Okay, there we go.
All right. Michelle, if you hold the Bible.
Well, yeah, that's all.
You help place your right hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand, please. I do solemnly swear that I am duly qualified.
I do solemnly swear that I am duly qualified.
According to the Constitution of this state.
According to the Constitution of this state.
To exercise the duties of the office to which I have been appointed.
To exercise the duties of the office to which I have been appointed.
And that I will, to the best of my ability.
And that I will, to the best of my ability.
Discharge the duties thereof.
Discharge the duties thereof.
And preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state.
And preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state.
And of the United States.
And of the United States.
As Mayor of the Municipality of Charleston.
As Mayor of the Municipality of Charleston.
I will equally, fairly, and impartially.
I will equally, fairly, and impartially.
To the best of my ability and skill.
To the best of my ability and skill.
Exercise the trust reposed in me.
Exercise the trust reposed in me.
And I will use my best endeavors.
And I'll use my best endeavors.
To preserve the peace.
To preserve the peace.
And carry into effect according to law.
And carry into effect according to the law.
The purposes for which I have been elected.
The purposes for which I have been elected.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Well, thank you everybody for coming out today. Got a pretty big crowd, but you all do know that the president is not coming, right? I'm not surprised he's in town, though. We are a city that attracts attention. But when you leave here today and you get blocked in the traffic trying to get off this peninsula, just know it's the federal government that is responsible, not your local government. Speaking of local government, I would like to thank John Tecklenburg for his passionate service to Charleston. There is no question he loves this city, and I sincerely appreciate his graciousness during the transition. John, thank you for all that you have done. I also want to convey my sincere gratitude to the members of City Council. I've had the pleasure to meet with each of you over the past few weeks, and it is clear that we share an appreciation and love for Charleston's past, its present, and its future. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. To my family, especially my wife Lucille and my children Mason and Meade, I would not be up here without you and without your love and support. So thank you for all that you are and all that you have made me. To Charleston and the people that make this place what it is, you are more than just a city. As Elizabeth O'Neill Verner pointed out almost a century ago, there is an intense local patriotism that gives this little strip of land a national dignity. It is a love story between people and place that is unparalleled in this country. Indeed, I think America would do well to emulate us, to accept different cultures and backgrounds as Charlestonians do, to evolve as we have, and to grow smarter as we must, so that what elicits this love, this national dignity, is never diluted. Again, Charleston is more than just a city. It is a community in the truest sense of the word. Ironically, forged in a tradition of fierce independence and individual expression. From the Revolution to the Civil Rights Movement, it represents both raw and refined American exceptionalism. Yes, we are different. We are unique. We know that. And as such, our problems have always required our own solutions so that we neither dilute Charleston nor assign it permanently to the past. We must think a century ahead and not succumb to generic trends, commoditized products, or populist whims. We must be better than that because we are better than that. Now, we do have growing pains, but the solutions to affordability, sea level rise, traffic congestion, and crime must be of Charleston, by Charleston. One size does not fit all. And ladies and gentlemen, we are about as bespoke as they come. So success in these endeavors will require an approach as unique as this city. We must think differently, act fearlessly, and address these obstacles head on. Occasionally, we will fail, and that's okay. But we will pick ourselves up, we will learn, we will adapt, and most importantly, we will continue to move forward through hell and high water until our problems are solved. So challenges are real, but they are surmountable. As long as we are prepared to work together and we shun the fear of failure. Like those before us, we must be bold. We must transform setbacks into progress. Leaders like Fritz Hollings had the vision to foresee the closure of the naval base and replace it with the infrastructure for what is today a thriving technology sector. Joe Riley took one of the greatest disasters to befall our city, Hurricane Hugo, and turned it into an opportunity to modernize a diverse community in a way that continues to receive national accolades today. This deep tradition of visionary leadership in bold action is what we need now more than ever. Tough acts to follow, I'll admit that. Those that have come before us have cast long shadows. But I promise my administration will be innovative, efficient, and with City Council's help, I hope effective. My team will not be bureaucratic, and for me, being mayor is not just an honor. It is a service and a huge responsibility, and one that I take very, very seriously. Now know that I will not be at every public event, nor will I ever be the one looking for the digital spotlight. Simply put, that is not who I am, and that is not what Charleston needs. My focus will be the work, and I am ready to roll up my sleeves and get to it. So as your mayor, I promise to work hard, put my heart and soul into it, and to live and breathe this city during my time in office because you deserve nothing less. As for policy, it's time to find common ground. The purple part of the Venn diagram is large here in the Low Country. As I've said before, potholes are not partisan, and I promise not to cater to any group that undermines our collective efforts. Simply put, we cannot afford to. To address our problems, we are going to need to find common ground, but the good news is that in local government, there's a lot of it. So it's time to take the best of both sides and to find that nexus between the old and the new. Again, we must be bold. There is an entrenched desire for government to avoid any risk. It is always easier to say no, but that, I can promise you, is not me. There will be complications for sure, but Voltaire reminds us that perfection is the enemy of good, and St. Bernard reminds us that the road to ruin is, of course, paved with good intentions. So solutions to our challenges are not going to be perfect to everyone. The extremes on both sides will always be chirping. So let them chirp. And as I tell my wife, never read the comments. The keyboard warriors hear nothing but echoes, and I can promise you that our problems are not going to be solved via Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok. Yes, Charleston is more than a city. It is a beautifully complex place comprised of a unique DNA, a helix of sweetgrass, faded accents, cobblestones, container ships, and 747s. It's the Coburg Cow coupled with Mr. Burbage's, Bowen's Island, and the Sunrise Bistro. It's Spoleto, Shad Row, beat-up Boston Whalers, and Mosquito Beach. It's Mother Emanuel, Francis Marion, Fort Sumter, and the Avery Institute. And yes, it's oak canopies covering traffic jams, no wake zones on Broad Street, rising rents and leaking new apartment buildings, and zip-tying old shutters in advance of increased storms. This is the rich tapestry of who we are. We must acknowledge our present, and we must learn from that proud, complex, and at times tragic past so we can create a successful and unified future. We all know the challenges are upon us. Sea level rise, infrastructure demands, and economic uncertainty require creative thinking and proactive governance. So to the 7 million who visit our beautiful city, our doors will remain open, and we will always be a welcoming culture that is proud of who we are. But we will ask more of you so that we can protect and enhance the reasons why you come. The relationship will be reciprocal, so we can save Charleston's uniqueness as well as the scale and character of its built environment. Union Pier, Sumar Street, Citadel Mall, the Cainhoy Peninsula, Johns Island, Folly Road, King Street, the Elevated Edge, West Ashley Drainage, and the RAD program. These are some of the major initiatives that will define our city for the next century. We have to get them right because we can't afford not to. We must modernize our basic government services to handle the expanding needs of a growing region. We must collaborate with other local governments, the state and federal delegations if we want to accomplish anything. We must be organized in our asks to enhance our chances for success. Time is of the essence, and well, we need the money. In conclusion, the Charlestonian in me standing before you is both humbled and honored to be your new mayor. Today marks the beginning of a new relationship, one based on our shared experiences and appreciation for this city. Today, we are getting hitched. For some of you, I know it's a shotgun wedding. But I look forward to earning your trust and working together to build a future that honors the ethos of this place, that is both mellowed by time and electrified by its future potential. It is not going to be easy, and like any marriage, the challenges are real. But my job is to live up to the standard that you deserve. And together, I believe we can and we will do great things. Thank you. May God bless you in this wonderful city that we call home.
All right, that was new Charleston Mayor William Cogswell being sworn in and making his first remarks to the people of Charleston. You are also taking a live look right now at Mother Emanuel AME Church, where Congressman Jim Clyburn is speaking. President Joe Biden is there. He is expected to speak next. Let's listen in for a minute on the congressman's remarks.
Give loan forgiveness to individuals who would work in public service for 10 years and paid their loans faithfully. When people started to hit that 10-year mark, it was 2017. And we know who occupied the White House in 2017. When people started to hit the 10-year mark, Trump was president and implemented the program was blocked. And almost no one got loan forgiveness. Joe Biden took office in 2021 and changed that. He revamped public service loan forgiveness program that has provided $53.5 billion to student loan debt forgiveness to 750,000 public servants. Teachers, police officers, firefighters, federal, state, and local employees have gotten their loans forgiven up to a total of $132 billion. 3.6 million people. But for some strange reason, we don't see reports about that. And as we speak, President Biden is writing a rule to provide even more relief for student loan debt and to hold colleges and universities accountable for loading borrowers up with unaffordable debt. Going forward, every 2 months, I want you to really think about this. Every 2 months, there will be roughly 50,000 more borrowers to get student loan debt repayment plans will have their debt forgiven. Every 2 months. Now, I'm a history guy, and I don't know too much about math. But if you're getting 50,000 every 2 months, how many is that going to be in a year? Another 25,000 every 2 months of public service people. I'm talking about teachers. I'm talking about state employees, local government workers. Every 2 months, another 25,000 will be getting their loans forgiven. But nobody is writing about that. And the question is today, who you want to be in charge of administering the program? Joe Biden or Donald Trump? He's already told you. He's already shown you what he thinks about the program. Not only did he not enforce it, but he came to Congress and tried to get us to eliminate it, and we would not let him do it. Four years ago, candidate Joe Biden stood at a podium just across the street, and he said to the American people that he had been a part of diversifying our Supreme Court, and if given the opportunity, he would appoint the first African-American woman to sit on that court. He got the opportunity, and he did it. Thank you. But Joe Biden didn't stop there. He has put Michelle Childs, a black woman from South Carolina, on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, the second highest court in the land. He didn't stop there. He's put another South Carolinian, an African-American woman, on the 4th Circuit Court of Appeals, the Andrew Benjamin. But he didn't stop there. Joe Biden has appointed more women of color to our circuit courts than all the former presidents combined. When Trump's hand-picked Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade, Republicans across the country followed by ushering in draconian abortion bans that risk women's health and their lives. And he has told us how much worse he can be. Joe Biden will appoint more justices like Ketanji Brown Jackson. He will block any attempt of Republicans to institute a nationwide ban on women's reproductive rights. Joe Biden will fight any attempt to turn the clock back. Four years ago, candidate Joe Biden promised to improve and build upon Barack Obama's Affordable Care Act and reduce the cost of medicine, and he has done so. During Donald Trump's 4 years in the White House, he and Republicans in Congress tried over 60 times to repeal the Affordable Care Act, but we would not let them. Joe Biden has since expanded Obamacare to cover a record 40 million citizens. But he did not stop there. Joe Biden and Democrats in Congress passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which for the first time empowers Medicare to negotiate for the price of prescription drugs. And his Department of Health and Human Services just announced the first 10 drugs that will be subject to negotiations. If you or a family member takes prescription medicine for diabetes, blood clots, heart disease, kidney disease, and more, the price of many of these drugs will be coming down. And these 10 drugs are only the beginning. The Inflation Reduction Act calls for 60 more drugs to be added for negotiation over the next 4 years. Who do you want to see presiding over this? Many of you remember, and some of you and your families shared with my late wife her decades-long struggle with diabetes. You know, as I know, the exorbitant monthly cost of insulin. And like I told you 4 years ago, we know Joe, but more importantly, Joe knows us. Well, starting last year, thanks to Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, insulin has been capped at $35 a month for Medicare employees. And I saw Emily's monthly bills for insulin. She was a full shot a day diabetic. And it was nothing for the bill to be $800 a month. From $800 a month, capped at $35 a month, that is what Joe Biden has done. And a lot of people did not realize it, but when that bill left the House of Representatives, following Joe Biden's instruction, we capped it for $35 for everybody. But somebody over in the Senate ripped it out of the bill, and we couldn't get the 60 votes because of the filibuster. But if Joe Biden is reelected as we think he will, we are going to cap at $35 for everybody. President Biden's PAC Act. How many veterans are in here? Just raise your hand. Joe Biden's PAC Act is making the biggest investment ever in the medical care for our veterans. Not only do we take care of our Iraq and Afghanistan veterans who were exposed to those burn pits, but because of Joe Biden, we went back and picked up those veterans from the Vietnam War who did not get Agent Orange coverage and other exposures. Pick them up. And I hear from them every day. Some telling me that they have been laboring with 25 and 30% disability, and because of Joe Biden's PAC Act, they are now getting 100% coverage for disability. That's what he's done for our veterans. Joe Biden is keeping his promise to the nation's veterans. Joe Biden's bipartisan infrastructure bill is making telehealth available to rural America and high-speed broadband accessible and affordable for all. Thanks to this and Joe Biden's American Rescue Plan, South Carolina is poised to make every home and business connected to the quality broadband internet in the next 3 years. This is a great country in no need of being made great. That's right. Our challenge is doing the things that are necessary to make this country's greatness accessible and affordable for all our citizens. And it is with great pride that I present to you the man best qualified, the man totally committed to making every American a part of the American dream, Joe Biden.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. I rest my case. Thank you, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And it's going to go to my head. Please. Thank you. Jim, you know, just say one thing about what Jim has been talking about that confuses me about our Republican friends sometimes, the MAGA Republicans. No, I mean, I'm being sincere. Every one of the things that Jim mentioned saves the American taxpayer billions of dollars. You realize
If you have a prescription drug from any major drug company in America, I can take you to Toronto, Canada, London, Rome, any major capital in the world and buy the same exact drug for sometimes half the price that you get here. Look, folks, when the federal government, through Medicare, doesn't have to pay out as much money, it means taxpayers pay less money because you fund the federal government. You fund Medicare. Go down every one of these things. So they always confuse me. They talk about being rational. It's just about excess profit. But at any rate, I don't want to get off on that. I'll get carried away. I don't quite get these guys. Thank you, Jim, for your friendship and above all for your fellowship. And Bishop Green, thank you for those kind words. I mean that sincerely. And thank you, Reverend Manning, for the shepherd of this house to allow me to stand at this podium once again. And all the faithful of Mother Emanuel and distinguished guests. I was talking downstairs. I've spent more time in the Bethel AME Church in Wilmington, Delaware than I have than most people I know, black or white, have spent in that church. Because that's where I started. No, I'm serious. I started the civil rights movement. I used to go to 7:30 Mass. Then I'd go to 10 o'clock service with the Reverend who was then running the church, is now the bishop. She's a bishop, and I'm told your bishop had been there before in South Africa. That's where he is right now. The point is that I've been blessed to worship here before as well. It's at moments of joy and great joy, and moments of great pain, moments of unbearable loss. On June 17, 2015, the beautiful souls, 5 survivors, invited a stranger into this church to pray with them. The Word of God was pierced by bullets of hate, of rage, propelled by not just gunpowder, but by a poison that has for too long haunted this nation. And what is that poison? White supremacy. Oh, it is. It's a poison. Throughout our history, it's ripped this nation apart. It has no place in America. Not today, tomorrow, or ever. From that day, this nation saw this congregation, this community, demonstrate one of the greatest acts of strength I have ever seen. I mean it sincerely from the bottom of the act of forgiveness, the act of grace. It was as President Obama sang from here, Amazing Grace. You changed hearts. You did something that may not have happened but for your courage. You brought down the Confederate flag in South Carolina. You brought it down. No, you did. And you helped the nation heal. You showed what America can overcome, what we can be when we want to be something. I'm deeply humbled to speak from this same pulpit my friend, and he was a friend, Reverend Pinckney, spoke from. We all miss him, none more than his family and this congregation. But just as all the families of the Emanuel 9 miss the pieces of their soul that they lost that day, we also have been together at moments of unbearable loss for my family. 2 days after the service of Reverend Pinckney, my son and I, my surviving son and I came back. My family worshiped with you. Here's Sunday service to show our solidarity. But my family also needed to be healed. We didn't even realize how badly. Just 22 days before, we had buried my son, Bo, a veteran exposed and died because of those burn pits in Iraq for a year. We were in more pain than we knew. We came here to offer comfort. We received comfort from you. No, I'm serious. As I listened in the pews, spent time with the families, visited Reverend Pinckney's office, visited the memorial for the victims outside, I grew stronger. my son, my family grew stronger. We prayed together. We grieved together. We found hope together, for real. For real. And it reminds me that through our pain, each of us must find purpose. For me, that purpose was to live a life worthy of my son, Bo. And I mean it sincerely. For you, that purpose is for the lives worthy of loved ones lost, to make them proud. So many of you were there for us during that loss, including my dear friend Jim and Emily Clyburn. Miss Emily, I miss. People of deep faith. Jim, a great public servant, the best friend you could ever have. Jim, I'm thinking of Emily today. We've talked about it downstairs a little bit. I know you do every single solitary day. She was special, and that bond you shared was something to behold. As many of you know, Jim is a teacher and a student of history. He knows the power of history. He knows the power of truth and the power of lies. He knows what happens when people are allowed to whitewash history, erase history, bury history. He knows what the Bible teaches. We shall know the truth, and the truth shall set us free. But the truth is under assault in America. As a consequence, so is our freedom, our democracy, our very country, because without the truth, there's no light. Without light, there's no path from this darkness.
If you really care about the lives lost here, then you should honor the lives lost and call for a ceasefire in Palestine. Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. Thank you. Look, folks, I understand their passion, and I've been quietly working with the Israeli government to get them to reduce and significantly get out of Gaza. I'm using all that I can to do that. But I understand the passion. Look, folks, after the civil... Thank you.
They don't realize that. You're a good man.
Well, thank you. Look, after the Civil War, the defeated Confederates couldn't accept the verdict of the war. They had lost. So they say they embraced what's known as the lost cause, a self-serving lie that the Civil War is not about slavery, but about states' rights. They've called that the noble cause. That was a lie that had, not just a lie, but it had terrible consequences. It brought on Jim Crow. So let me be clear, for those who don't seem to know, slavery was the cause of the Civil War. There's no negotiation about that. Now we're living in an era of a second lost cause. Once again, there are some in this country trying to turn a loss into a lie which, if allowed to live, will once again bring terrible damage to this country. This time, the lie is about the 2020 election. The election which you made, your voices heard, and your power known. Just 2 days ago, we marked the 3rd anniversary of one of the darkest days in American history, January the 6th, the day in which insurrectionists stormed the United States Capitol, trying for the first time in American history to stop the peaceful transfer of power in the country. We all saw with our own eyes the truth of what happened. That violent mob was whipped up by lies from a defeated former president, smashing windows, smearing blood on statues, ransacking offices. Outside, insurrectionists erected gallows, chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." Inside, they hunted for Nancy Pelosi, chanting, "Where's Nancy?" We saw something on January 6th we'd never seen before, even during the Civil War. Insurrectionists waving Confederate flags inside the halls of Congress built by enslaved Americans. A mob attacked and called black officers, black veterans, defending the nation, those vile of racist names. And yet, an extreme movement of America, the MAGA Republicans, led by a defeated president, is trying to steal history now. They tried to steal an election, now they're trying to steal history, telling us that violent mob was, and I quote, a peaceful protest. That insurrection, those insurrectionists were, these are his words, patriots. That there was, quote, a lot of love that day. In fact, the rest of the nation and the world saw a lot of hate and violence. For hours, the defeated former president sat in the private dining room off of the Oval Office and did nothing, absolutely nothing. His actions were among the worst derelictions of duty by any president in American history. An attempt to overturn a free and fair election by force and violence. Let me say what others cannot. We must reject political violence in America. Always, not sometimes, always. It's never appropriate. The violence of January 6th was an extension of an old playbook from the threats and violence and intimidation. In Atlanta, Georgia, 2 brave black women, mother and daughter, Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, they had their lives upended just doing their jobs. Menacing calls, death threats, forcing them to literally flee their homes. Those pushing the big lie have a conspiracy theory among conspiracy theories that outweighs them all. That there's what, but here's the fact. There's where we don't have facts. Their whole theory has no facts, has no proof, has no evidence. That's why time and again they lost in every court of law that challenged the results. 60 losses in courts of America. There's one thing they don't have. They don't have respect for the 81 million people who voted the other way, voted for my candidacy, and voted to end the presidency. In their world, these Americans, including you, don't count. But that's not the real world. That's not democracy. That's not America. In America, we all count. In America, we witness to serve all those who, in fact, participate. And losers are taught to concede when they lose. And he's a loser. Then we all came together to put the country before ourselves. The lies that led to January 6th are part of a broader attack on the truth of America today that we all have seen before. The same movement that throughout the mob of the United States Capitol isn't just trying to rewrite history, January 6th, they're trying to determine to erase history and your future. Banning books, denying your right to vote and have it counted, destroying diversity, equality, inclusion all across America, harboring hate and replacing hope with anger and resentment and dangerous view of America. That narrow view of America, zero-sum view of America that says, if you win, I lose. If you succeed, it must be I fail. If you get ahead, I fall behind. And maybe worst of all, if I hold you down, I lift myself up. That's not new in America. Every stride forward has often been met with ferocious backlashes from those who fear the progress, from those who exploit that fear for their own personal gain, from those who traffic in lies told for profit and power. But here in Charleston, you know the power of truth. Less than a mile from here was once a port where almost half of all enslaved Africans were trafficked to North America and forced on our shores. And now you have a world-class museum there to tell the truth about the original sin. And it matters. And I want to thank former Mayor Jim Riley for his leadership, who saw to it the museum was built, and for all of you who made that happen. And with your help, I made Juneteenth the first federal holiday since Dr. Martin Luther King's day. This works. Why? Because the truth matters. The truth matters. With your help, we established a national monument in honor of Mamie and Emmett Till. Because we heard Mrs. Till's call, the mother of a 14-year-old son who was lynched and whose body was mutilated. But the mother insisted on an open casket at his funeral because she said, "Let the world see what I saw." The truth matters. It always matters. We can't just choose to learn what we want to know and not what we should know. We should know the good, the bad, the truth of who we are. That's what great nations do, and we're a great nation, the greatest of all nations. We're not perfect, but at our best, we learn from our past and we look to the future. A nation continuously striving to be a more perfect union. I'm here to speak to another truth. It's because of this congregation and the black community of South Carolina, and not an exaggeration, and Jim Clyburn, that I stand here today as your president, because of all of you. That's a fact. That's a fact. And I owe you. And I've done my best to honor your trust. That means rejecting the small, narrow, cramped view of America, as well as lifting up a bigger and broader view of America that holds that if you do well, I do well. We all do well. We all do well if every race and background in small towns and big cities is doing better. When our freedoms are protected and we deny hate as a safe harbor where everyone has a fair shot at a life of dignity and opportunity, and where our democracy works for everybody. It benefits everybody. I don't get these guys. Everybody does better, even those folks who disagree with us. I'm keeping my commitment to you. That's the America we're building together. Instead of erasing history, we're making history. And it starts with the administration I said my administration would look like America and taps into our full talents and strengthens the nation, starting with our incredible Vice President Kamala Harris. When we came to office, the country was in the depth of a pandemic, which we lost over 1,200,000 people. So we moved heaven and earth to get the country vaccinated, saving countless lives. When the economy on the brink, we sent $1,400 checks into the pockets of people who were hurting badly to keep them going. I said we'd invest in all of America, and we are. The results are clear. Over 14 million new jobs, record economic growth, the lowest inflation rate of any major economy in the world. But we have more to do. We see this progress for all Americans. We have the lowest black unemployment rate recorded in a long, long time. More black Americans have health insurance than ever, bringing peace of mind and dignity to their lives. I remember when I was a kid, we lived in a 3-bedroom house with 4 kids and a grandpa living with us. and my headboard in my room was up against a little split-level home. So we weren't poor. Anyway, we sure weren't wealthy. And I remember really one night hearing my dad restless because the headboard was along my headboard on the other side of the wall. I asked my mom the next morning, I said, "What's the matter with Dad?" She said, "Honey, his employer just told her they're dropping health insurance." What that does is deprives a man and a woman of their dignity. How do you look at your child and say, "I can't cover you, I can't take care of it"? And now, as Jim pointed out, I won't go into it like I was going to because he said it better. Instead of about an average of $400 a month for insulin for seniors with diabetes, we're now paying $35 a month. And by the way, they're still making a profit 3 times. It costs $10 to make it. I've been trying to take on, as a couple of you in the audience know, for my entire career, Big Pharma. Finally beat them. Finally. And we're going to go back and make sure that Medicare can negotiate prices for everybody, not just for seniors. Again, it saves the American taxpayers billions of dollars not having to pay pharma for these things. You know, we're growing back black wealth. Well, we have a lot more to do. The racial wealth gap is the smallest it's been in 20 years under my watch. More black small businesses starting up than in decades. And the ultimate act in opening a new business, the ultimate act of hope. We're taking on housing discrimination in many ways. So a home owned by a black family on one side of a highway, built by the same builder on the other side of the highway, and a white guy living in it, the white guy's home is valued more than the black guy's. No, I know you know it. But guess what? That's how you build generational wealth when you build your home. Kamala and I are leading the charge, mainly Kamala, to protect the freedom to vote, and that vote that be counted. Defending your freedom to choose. We're keeping our commitment of providing incredible opportunities, making historic investments in HBCUs, $7 billion. $7 billion. They're just as good as other universities. Just only that they don't have the billionaire contributors, so they can't put the laboratories together to get the contracts to be the ones that design new aircraft carrier decks, being the ones that design what's changing. It's changing. Providing people a real shot by reducing the burden of student debt. Jim went into it. I won't go into it as I was going to. $132 billion, 3.6 million people. A significant percentage of those students are African American students. Despite our friends on the other side of the table, the Supreme Court did everything we can to stop me, replacing every lead pipe in America. Do you know how many? Not just some. Every single lead pipe in America is going to be taken out and replaced with a proper pipe. Why? Because in mostly poor neighborhoods, that's where those lead pipes are, and that's why kids end up with brain damage because of the lead. There's so much. I'm not going to go into it, but look, you can turn on a faucet for your child and doesn't get sick from drinking the water and coming into the home. Delivering high-speed internet that's affordable for everybody. So you don't have to sit in the McDonald's parking lot for your child to do their homework. Producing clean energy so you can finally breathe clean air without leaving home. Look, I understand it. When we moved from Scranton, I was raised in Claymont, Delaware. More major refineries than any place, including Houston, Texas, and just across the border in Chester. Not a joke. I grew up with asthma, most of us did, because of the prevailing winds. My mom would drive us to school in the morning as young grade school, turn on when there was a frost, turn on the windshield wiper, there'd be an oil slick on the way. Because guess what? It's all the fence line communities that get hurt. Not on my watch. It's changing. We know there's more to do, making child care and elder care more affordable, which would save American taxpayers billions of dollars along the way. Early in my administration, we cut child poverty in half. Black child poverty in half by getting families checks every month through the child tax credit. And the other side went ahead and blocked it. But we're going to get it back. This fight is over. We're going to come back because no child in America should ever go to bed hungry, period, 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 period. After the historic movement for justice in the summer of 2020, I signed the most significant police reform executive order in history. We didn't get the law passed, but guess what? I did it by executive order, a significant part of it. But now Congress has to step up and ask and get it, do what I did, and make it the law of the land. Just a few days ago, the defeated former president was asked about the recent shooting in Iowa. Did you hear this one? Oh, it's hard to believe. You know what his response was? All those kids dead? We have to get over it. End of quote. I promise you, we have to get over it. My response is, we have to stop it. So your children, your family, your friends can leave your home, walk the streets, go to stores, go to the grocery store, and go to church to be safe from gun violence. There's no excuse for this carnage. We have to ban assault weapons. I did it once before, and I'm going to come back again and do it. Ban high-capacity magazines. We have to pass a universal background checks. It doesn't violate the Second Amendment. It's common sense, and it saves lives. I'm determined to continue to deliver unequal justice under the law. I made a commitment to you to nominate the first black woman, and Jim's already talked about it, on the Supreme Court. And by the way, she's smarter than the rest of these guys. Oh. Her name is Ketanji Brown Jackson. But guess what? She knows what she's doing. And by the way, as Jim pointed out, more black women have been appointed to the federal circuit courts than every other president in American history is appointed. Every single solitary one counted. And we're going to keep going. Look, I want to make it clear. You all made this possible. Because of your voice was heard in shaping your destiny. That's democracy. I'm proud to have led the effort to make sure your voice, the South Carolina voice, will always be heard, because now you're first in the primary. Look, our North Star as a nation is the very idea of American, an idea. At once the most simple and most powerful idea in the history of the world. That's not hyperbole, in fact. The idea is this: we're all created in the image of God equally. We deserve to be treated equally throughout our lives. It's a covenant we made with each other, a covenant we've never fully lived up to, but we never fully walked away from either. And faith and history teach us that however dark the night, joy cometh in the morning. And that joy comes with commands from Scripture. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy mind, all thy soul. And love your neighbor as thyself. Not so easy. It's hard. But in those commands is the essence of the gospel and the essence of the American promise. And in my life, I've tried to live my faith. And I've many times failed. But I've learned, as many of you might have learned in your path as well, we're all imperfect beings. We don't know where fate will take us or when. But we can do our best to seek a life of light, hope, love, and justice, and truth. Folks, let me close with this. Denmark Vesey arrived in Charleston enslaved. One of too many from the distant shores, wrenched on a painful journey, not to a promised land, but to a land that promised to deprive them of freedom. But even though they arrived in a land where the life and rife of pain and persecution, they still believed they had promise. And the black church kept them moving. They had faith. They found Scripture. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. Vesey had his kind of faith. He became a carpenter and a movement leader, concerned with the least among us. That's why he helped found this very church 200 years ago, only 40 years after the Declaration of Independence. And this church, your church now, the black church, has come to symbolize the faith and this purpose, to bear witness to those who are suffering, to bring the good news of a future to come, to follow its mission, to be the light in the pathway of darkness. That's patriotism. That's patriotism. To love something so much, you make it better no matter the struggle. A patriotism that inspired generation before us to believe that in America we can do and be anything we want to be. In our time, there's still the old ghost of new garments. And we all need to rise to meet the moment. And the moment is now. Folks, my fellow Americans, this is a time of choosing. So let us choose the truth. Let us choose America. I know we can do it together, and it's the gospel song sings, we've come too far from where we started. Nobody told me the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to lead me. My fellow Americans, I don't think the good Lord brought us this far to leave us behind. May God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And that was President Joe Biden speaking at Mother Emanuel AME Church in downtown Charleston. Today, an extremely eventful day on the peninsula with Mayor William Cogswell's inauguration, as well as the president's visit. The president was originally supposed to visit the International African American Museum today. We are told that's no longer happening, but he did make reference to it in his roughly 35-minute speech. He talked about how the museum and the port is less than a mile from where he was speaking. He made reference to the fact that that port was once one of the largest, if not the largest, to bring enslaved African Americans into this country. He also thanked former Mayor Joe Riley and everyone's work for getting that museum up and running. We do want to try to continue our team coverage now at Mother Emanuel, where our Scott Eisberg has been outside the church and has the latest details on the stop in the president's reelection campaign. Scott?
Hey, good afternoon, Katie. Yeah, the crowd here got to about 40 or 50 folks while the speech was going on. I think everyone was kind of doing what we were doing. They were looking at their phones and watching the speech on Facebook streams or news streams or however they were going to find it. So there were cheers. It was a little delayed as the speech was a couple of seconds delayed out here. And then during the speech, we saw the protesters that were escorted out. They were escorted right down Calhoun Street here, and they went right into Marion Square. They were hugging each other and they were cheering. They were obviously very happy about what they had done, interrupting the president's speech inside Mother Emanuel. There were different feelings out here. It was very interesting to see and to talk to a lot of the folks who were out here just trying to get a glimpse of them. They were not all Joe Biden supporters. Some of them were not Biden supporters, but it was still something about seeing a live president, getting to see him with your own two eyes. Well, the folks out here on the corner of Meeting and Calhoun did not get to see President Biden because the motorcade came in the other direction from East Bay Street, but they're hoping to maybe catch a glimpse of him on the way out. Not sure which way he's going. They don't disclose which way the motorcade is going to go. It's funny, I spoke to one gentleman who said, I went over and I asked the police, do you know which way the motorcade goes? And the police officer said, yep. And he said, well, do you mind telling me? And he said, nope. And so obviously the police were keeping that a bit secretive. But I would say about 40, 50 people. I was talking to two guys. They came over, they got pizza over at Sabatino's and were walking over here. And they said, it's lunch and getting to maybe see a president. I don't think they had many political feelings one way or the other. They just figured, heck, maybe they could take a peek at Biden when they were eating their pizza for lunch. Spoke to one woman who dropped her son off here at the College of Charleston and was elated. She couldn't believe that she was going to get an opportunity to be within a block of President Biden. She was the first one out here just waiting to see if she could catch a peek at him, and also a couple of political science students and a professor were out here watching the speech on their phones. So needless to say, it was just people who wanted to take a peek at democracy. They wanted to take a peek at a president, a sitting president who is speaking here in Charleston. And of course, the protesters are right across the street. No shouting from them to the folks who were watching Biden. No shouting the other way either. Everyone pretty respectful when the police told them to move back or step aside. Everything was very calm here on Meeting and Calhoun Street. So we'll continue to follow it here and see if we can catch a peek at the motorcade as it comes down this way, if it comes down this way. If not, I'm sure they'll be going the other way, and we hope to have a camera getting a shot of President Joe Biden leaving downtown Charleston. For now, live on the corner of Calhoun and Meeting Streets, I'm Scott Eisberg. I'll send it back to you guys.
Thank you, Scott. Great insight there from what was happening outside the church. We want to go back inside Mother Emanuel now, where our Ann Emerson was present for the president's speech, and quite the long and impassioned speech. What can you tell us from where you were sitting?
Well, there was just an enormous amount of support for President Biden here at Mother Emanuel Church. Right now, the congregation is just getting let out. But as you can see, it was a standing room only group here. There are a number of clergy who have come to support as well. Just as many people that could possibly fit into this whole sanctuary were in here, and they were in support of President Biden, as you heard. There was a disruption at one point, Katie. I don't know if you had heard that, but there was a disruption with some protesters who were calling for a ceasefire to the Middle East conflict. But President Biden got right back on track with his message that there was another truth right now here happening at Mother Emanuel, and that truth is that he sees the support of the South Carolina black voters and the electorate here, how important it was back in 2020 when Jim Clyburn, his friend who was also up there on the podium with him, how important it was to have the voters come out in support of President Biden, what a difference it made. And now with South Carolina as the primary pole position, how important it's going to be this time around as well. The message was strong. The message was about finding truth and how important in such a historic place as Mother Emanuel that truth is finally heard. That was really what the president was trying to get across, and it was certainly a very strong second part to his launch for his bid for presidency for the 2024 election.
Thank you so much, and that will do it for our team coverage of both Mayor William Cogswell's inauguration ceremony and President Biden's visit to downtown Charleston. Stay tuned with us, though. We will have much more extensive team coverage starting tonight at 5. We also will have much more on our website, abcnews4.com. For now, we will send it back to your regularly scheduled programming. Thank you for joining us today.